questions arise from doing the practice I gave you to do last night. There were two kinds of practice I gave you depending on what worked for you. Did anybody do it? Yes.
The eye focus business.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like the eyes want to focus no matter what.
Yeah, they do. That's a habit. You're always looking at stuff. It's a retraining of the eyes, and the only way to do it is practice. There are some tricks that will help, such as pointing your eyes at the empty sky while sitting in a high place. There's nothing to focus on. But you don't want to be looking up to do it. So at least go down to like a bluff over the beach so that the horizon is below eye level. And then look out above the horizon. Sometimes that helps people to lose their eye focus because there's nothing there on a clear day. If you are practicing out of doors, do not let the sun fall on your head or eyeballs. Wear a hat, have an umbrella, sit under a tree. This is important. You see, your eyes will dilate when you do this. As you get the hang of it, your pupils will dilate, letting more light in. If the sun is falling on them, your eyes can be damaged. So for that reason, hat, brim, brolly. Find a way that the sun is not actually falling on your eyeballs and your head. Another way is blank white wall, but that doesn't work for many people because there is no blank white wall. They all have some texture. Only the sky is without texture. For some people, attempting to do it with the eyes on running water, a creek, a river that's moving, is hard to focus on. So it will help you a little bit to unfocus them. But these are all just tricks to get your eyes to unfocus. Another trick is be really, really, really tired. So next time life circumstances cause you to be short of sleep and feeling exhausted, try it then. It's a little easier when you're tired. So give some of those a try. That's just tools. Other questions?
I find that it's possible for me to do it much more easily in an undemanding environment. Like I practiced yesterday here, and then I went to Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's doesn't want anything from me seemingly, so it was beautiful.
They want your money, but they're not that fussy about it.
But then I practiced at home, and at home,
Yeah.
the hooks are just numberless.
You are one of those people who cannot make retreat in your own house. You can make retreat in somebody else's house, so you can switch.
Okay.
Because a lot of people can't make retreat in their own house because their to-do list will natter at them.
Yeah.
So you just do it in somebody else's house. Their to-do list is not your problem.
And then if I may, I have a follow-up. The biggest hook that I have is the one that you referred to yesterday when you talked about Tonglen and thwapping. I have not received the thwapping instructions, and I have to say that my biggest problem is the bludgeoned kitten. If you know what I mean, the reality that there's something, I mean, that is just really crushes me. I don't have tools for that. But maybe I want to attend to the kitten, and but it overwhelms me when I breathe it in, and I'm vanquished.
I gave the instructions for thwapping yesterday.
Yeah, and I didn't understand them because I tried today. And so is it that is that the energetic question or issue or?
It is a visualization.
Visualization.
You imagine it.
Okay.
You make it up until it becomes real. So you perceive the suffering, I'm going to perceive your suffering, because you got some. I associate myself with you and perceive the levels of suffering. This I would not do normally to a human being. You don't do Tonglen on people without their permission, please. So, but I have your permission. So I'm going into you and I'm feeling the jittery, suffering itch in your mind. I'm imagining that jittery, suffering itch thing that's wrong that you're always trying to make right. You know what I'm talking about. It's your suffering. It's your biggest one that's visible right now. I'm imagining that to be made of black smoke, the color of bus parts. I'm going to inhale that through my nose. Me, inside, there's like this bubble of self-focusedness where it's not self-cherishing. That's a translation of Lama Yeshe's many, many years ago, before his English was all that good. It's,
I just laughed.
and it's stuck. It's a self-focusedness. You pay the most attention to you, your stuff, and how it affects you. It's a way I hold myself where I'm focused on my family, my stuff, all of that. So I'm going to imagine that that's like a bubble or a sphere of multicolored light, or, however, maybe it's a Lena shape. I'm going to breathe in the black stuff of your, let's call it angst, because I don't have a good word for your particular thing that hurts. And as it comes in as black smoke, it strikes like matter and antimatter coming together. My self-holding, self-focusedness, and they obliterate each other. The smoke is gone. The self-focusedness is gone. All that's left is clear light, true nature of mind. And I breathe that out to you. Got it this time? The purpose of Tonglen is to pop the bubble of self-focusedness that we live in, at least for a moment. You'll put it back. It's a habit. But for a moment there, when that's gone, all that's left is Buddha nature. And you give that away. You don't grab it.
I can do it for an animal, right, without asking.
Yes, you can do it for an animal. In fact, normally we go around and do it for animals we encounter in life. We'll go to a park and do it for the ducks and or the pigeons in mating season. How annoyed those girl pigeons must feel when the guys won't leave them alone. Oh my, get off her, guy. She already said no. How terribly horny those guys must feel where they can't think of anything else except dipping their wick. Watch the pigeons. This is pigeon life in the spring. That's a good one to work with. So first you exchange yourself with the being you're focused on. As if you are them, you feel it. You don't feel it, you. They're suffering. You sort of crawl inside of them with your mind and feel how it is and be willing to take it on to relieve it. Got it? We usually practice with one animal at a time to begin with. A bug, a bird. Do not do it with your pet cat. It will annoy them. Cats don't like it after a while. You can do it once or twice, but after a while they're going to either insist on sitting on you and not get off because they like the glow. Cats are attracted to glow. Or they're going to walk away and not talk to you. It's too much to keep doing it to the same animal all the time. Do not do it to your pet dog. It becomes addictive to dogs. And they're going to be waking you up in the middle of the night going, do me, do me, do me. Go find wild animals. Question in the back.
Okay, but I have a pet bird.
Well, don't do it to your pet bird
Well,
more than once or twice.
It's the relationship, it's not the animal.
It's the relationship. It's too close. If you keep doing it with your pet, you're going to do it way too much with one being and not get in the variety. You can do it once or twice with your dog or cat. Just don't, you know, they're easy to get at, so you end up doing them all the time. And that causes problems.
Yeah.
So go out, there's snails and things. You can always find a critter. There's spiders in the corner. They're hungry. Bug hasn't been by for a while. Yes.
It's the same with the llamas and the students.
Take that analogy farther, I missed it.
Doing Tonglen with your students a lot, does that
We
create a problem
do,
with the students?
yes, it would. If I
Wanting more and
constantly
more?
did it with students, they'd start getting hooked on that and dependent on me to make them feel clear light, and then they wouldn't learn how to do it by themselves. And then when they died, and if I wasn't there, and I'm probably not going to be standing there next to you when the truck swishes you, or whatever, you're stuck. You don't want to get hooked on Lama presence. You want to find your own Buddha presence. I had a friend who was hooked on lamas. She was wonderful and ecstatic and happy whenever she was around lamas, and she was a surgeon and had good money and managed to travel around and follow lamas, and then she got sick. Gave away all her money. Couldn't get at lamas anymore. Because she couldn't drive anymore. And not all the lamas had time to go sit in her house. And she couldn't go to where they were, because she wasn't mobile due to being ill. And she got really depressed, because she was hooked on lamas. I strongly discourage that. I want you to find your inner Buddha, the nature of your own mind, and get hooked on that. Because that's always there. That's not going anywhere. It's not me, and I'm not going to give it to you. All I'm going to do is tell you where it is in you. How to find it for you. But don't be dependent on me to make it for you. Or to do it for you. You've got to do your own practice. Okay? Other questions? Yes?
Curious, why don't you do it for people without their permission? Like
It's invasive.
Okay.
That would be impolite. You actually, as I did with you, I actually went in and felt where your ouch was. The ouch that you walk around in all the time, that's underneath irritating. I would not do that to a person without permission. That's too invasive. And even then, I only went down one level. I didn't go all the way in like I might with an animal. That would be impolite. You have privacy. You have the right to privacy. Yes.
To elaborate on that, there's a lot of homeless people here, so in some ways they've already given up, not willingly, but by circumstance have given up some of their privacy. It's visible when they're right on the street. What about just that surface level where you could do Tonglen?
Not without permission.
I've never heard that before. I've heard lots of Tonglen teachings, and that's new for me. And
It is when you're doing it with specifics. You can do it for all homeless people without permission.
I see. So
All
as a
people
general-
with cancer, sure. But the guy in front of you who's sitting there on the pavement, leave him his self-respect. Don't go in there without an invitation.
It never occurred to me to go in it just occurred to me to relate to the suffering that is familiar to
Lama
me.
Yeshe's old teachings called this practice, not Tonglen, called it exchanging yourself with others.
Mhm.
And the first step was to open yourself up and be that being. Feel their feelings.
Well,
Try it and see. You start imagining it, but eventually you actually can do it, and you learn the speech of animals.
So yesterday, I think I remember you mentioning, talking about that period of time when you're very relaxed on the verge of sleep, and you're, you talked about the images, and you sort of, you could go into the images of the dream, or you could stay in that place, and so I attempted that last night. I actually was doing it when I woke back up again, and was in that half awake state.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been, this is embarrassing, but this is what my dream was. So I had been dreaming about kitchen cabinets. And I was looking at nice looking kitchen cabinets. And I woke back up again, and I was aware of that, of wanting to look at nice cabinets. And I was also thinking about that, staying in that state. And I didn't get any further than that. What would you suggest if you actually get to a point where you're aware
Where
of it?
is the image of the cabinets?
Oh, like, almost like a screen that I could see if I
Go look at the screen, not the image on it.
Okay,
Go find where that screen is.
okay,
If you find it in a location, you have made an error.
yeah, okay.
If you find it to have dimension or color, you have made an error. Keep trying.
Because why?
Because it doesn't.
Oh.
Other questions?
Can you tell why it's so important to have the eyes open? So if I can't,
Yes, because you're eventually going to be meditating while walking around and living your daily life. And if your eyes are closed while you do that, you will bump into things and hurt yourself. Tibetans are very practical people. So get in the habit of doing it with your eyes open. You see, anyone can sit there in a lotus and trance out into meditation. You gotta learn to meditate while thinking. Walking, talking, being, eating, sleeping, getting up, sitting down, and leading your life. Session and session break, no difference. And you can't go about with your eyes closed because you bump into stuff. So you start with them open. Otherwise, it's really a bugger to change. Yes.
I'm noticing when when we were really engaged in the clear light yesterday, what happens is everything just seems ridiculous and like it's like all just seems so like.
Keep going, you're in the right direction, but there's more layers to peel.
Yeah, I just kind of like, and I talked to other people that have done the 3-year retreat, and they come out of retreat and they don't want to, like, you kind of lose enthusiasm for doing the life part, like, you know. So is it like you get addicted to it, or is it
No,
not?
you've missed a point.
Okay.
You've missed the innate playfulness that arises out of Sambhogakaya. Your house, you have a house, a home, an apartment, a room, something. You got that as a toy. And then you forgot to play with it and it became work. Next time you are dusting, polishing, sweeping, play house. You have no business having a house if you're not going to play with it. Then why? with all the pretties in it that need dusting. Otherwise, all you really need is a pup tent somewhere that somebody lets you pitch it where you're dry from the weather. The rest is toys, and you forgot to play with it. The refuge. Lama Yidam Kandro, Chuku Lonku Truku, Tsalung Tigli. All the pattern of 3 refuge. You know what I'm talking about. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. It's all the pattern of 3. And it all refers to the infinite open spaciousness in its impeccable vitality, which manifests as playful liveliness. Yes, there is pain and suffering. Or rather, yes, there is pain. Suffering arises from taking pain seriously. Questions? Yes.
Lama Lena, in some traditions, some teachers say that it's necessary to achieve the full calm abiding, going through the 9 stages, or resulting in the full machinery. My understanding in Dzogchen is that's not necessary. That you don't have to-
These are different paths. If you're following a particular path down to the beach, it might be necessary to go to the left of that rock and over the bridge over there on that path. But a different path doesn't go to the left of that rock and over the bridge. All the teachings you are getting are path. How to walk the path. Because fruition cannot be expressed in words. We point at it with poetry. And each path has its own signposts and the things you're going to have to step over on that path. Or go around or duck under. And if you're on a particular path, well, you follow the instructions of that path. Some teachers think the path they walked is the only path. Or rather, it seems as if they think that, whereas what they actually are thinking is, this is the only path I know well enough to teach you. And if you've come to me for teachings, this is the one I can teach you. Make sense?
Yes.
But somehow that gets interpreted or twisted into this is the only path, which is not what they mean to communicate. You can't really teach a path you haven't walked yourself. I can't teach you the path of scholars. I can't teach you the full path of Tsalung. I am not a Tsalung master. I did not dry the 7 or 8 sheets. I'm not a Lopon, a tantric master. I'm an old cave yogi. That's the path I know, but it sure as hell ain't the only one. Make sense? Yes.
Yesterday you were speaking about Dharmata and
Dharmata.
Dharmata and Dharmakaya.
Yes.
What's the relationship between Dharmata and Dharmakaya?
Dharmata is the word for Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya as one thing.
Okay.
Because they are, really. They're just 3 aspects of the same thing. Other questions? Back to the text. mind's nature is not created by a cause in the first place. Beyond time, before there was time. Language ain't going there. Look where it's pointing. Time arises in mind. Space arises as an aspect of time. Time and space are two aspects of movement. This arises in mind, but does not cause mind. It is not destroyed by any agent or condition, for all agents and conditions are phenomena arising in mind, made of mind, dissolving in mind, coming and going, an aspect of movement. And mind is where that happens. It itself does not happen. Mind itself does not occupy a single point in the space-time continuum. Your personality does. Your personality arises in mind and dissolves in mind, changing in each moment. The you normally think of as you. Beyond that single point in the space-time continuum where you inevitably find yourself called here and now, is semi, real mind, big mind, true mind. Nothing can be added or taken from it. In Mahamudra, we have one word for sky and space. Same word. The space between two objects. The sky, it's Nauka. In Mahamudra, they speak of mind as sky. This is your commonest analogy. Sky, space itself, this is an analogy, does not move. Things move in space. Yes? Space itself, as it does not move, does not age or come and go. You cannot take away the space of the universe. There is not an outside of it from which you could add to it or to which you could take a piece. This is an analogy. Mind itself does not move. Without moving, it disappears without a trace. Its activity is empty activity. Its emptiness, empty appearance. Mind is infinite, vast as the sky, with thoughts, feelings, and perceptions arising and vanishing in each moment. Where's the thought you thought 10 seconds ago? Gone. What were you feeling a moment ago? Subtle change now. Your sensory perceptions have also changed. The sound has changed that you hear with your ears. The light has changed a bit. People have moved. Something is here. Now it's here. Mind itself, the ground of mind, the infinite open awareness of Dharmakaya, great mother ocean of Dharmakaya. Beyond all things. And that which moves, your thoughts, your feelings, your perceptions, what are they made of? Grasp me a thought and hand it here. How about a feeling? May I have a perception? What are they made of? Infinite open awareness, no thing. And all the stuff. Objects that you think you perceive and have feelings about. Those perceptions, those thinkings, those feelings. You can't even sit on them. They're not made of anything. They are empty of substance and duration. Think of a persimmon. That thought of that persimmon flickers and changes while you think of it. It's not one thought of a persimmon continuing. It's itty bitty teeny tiny instantaneous thoughts that arise and vanish of persimmons, each one slightly different than the one before, as each moment is slightly different than the one before. There is no thing which has duration. Your thoughts are too short, each single one of them so short that it doesn't even occupy time or space. Your thought of a persimmon, how big is that thought? It does not occupy space. And it has no duration, and the same may be said for your perceptions and your feelings. Arising in mind and dissolving in mind without ever actually having an existence in matter and form or in time and duration. This is what we mean by empty arisings. Can't grab one, can't keep one. Nor can you truly stop the flow of vitality as it manifests as thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. Even if you shoot yourself in the head, you will only briefly attain unconsciousness. And then there you'll be in the bardo again, having all sorts of experiences. There is no ending. There was no beginning. There is no permanence. For you are a clump, a heap, a pile, comprised of whatever in this tiny little instant you are thinking, feeling, and perceiving. There is no thinker, feeler, or perceiver separate from the thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. Since mind's nature is all pervasive everywhere, the ground of both samsara and nirvana, to rest in the infinite open awareness and allowing the display of phenomena to flicker by without grasping or rejecting, and without grasping with your attention or rejecting with your attention, is the experience of nirvana. And yet, all of the colors, shapes, perceptions, feelings, which arise in and of and out of and as the very vitality of open awareness, are themselves the ground of samsara. Since they are not made of anything other than open awareness, mind stuff arises in mind, made of mind as mind. There is no separation here. Since mind's nature is all pervasive and the ground of both samsara and nirvana, it is without bias or partiality. Do not be thinking that enlightenment is all peace and zone out. Do not be thinking, believing that equanimity is a lack of feelings. Equanimity is not minding feelings. When you wake up in the morning and you realize you are depressed today, instead of fighting it or beating yourself up for not getting anything done because you feel like shit, go ahead and feel like shit. Don't mind it. Relax into it. Depression itself, when not fought, arises as open awareness. The Dhyani Buddha of the central direction. But you gotta not mind being miserable. You gotta not grasp at happiness and shove away what is called the negative emotions in order for the 6 poisons to be transformed like a peacock and arise as the 6 wisdoms. 5 in some systems. No form demonstrates its actuality more clearly than any other. Between dog turds and Buddhas, no form. You are welcome to make your offerings to either one, if you realize this, to the same effect. If you don't realize this, please don't fake it. Really, people get in a lot of trouble trying to fake that one.
I'm gonna remember that.
Please do, it's important. All of it manifests all and everything equally without obstruction. This is the dance of Nirmanakaya without obstruction or grasping. Relax. Let the display occur without trying to fix it. Humans, Homo sapiens with hands, are always trying to manipulate matter. Fix it, clean it, move it, do it, get it the way you want it. For a little while, let go. Yes?
Yeah, well, I've heard it said that an ordinary being has the understanding, recognition of emptiness or spaciousness, that begins to arise, that can be known, and of course conventional reality can be known, but it's that only a Buddha can know. I think this is maybe in the Garuda system, only a Buddha can know emptiness and conventional reality simultaneously, but other beings can.
But you are a Buddha. What do you mean, ordinary people? There are no ordinary people. What, you think Buddha's outside of yourself? Somewhere else? You are a Buddha and you are an ordinary person, and there is no difference between. It is only by making that difference that you make that so. See, all the words of all the teachings, they're thoughts arising in your mind. And they're made of the same thing as the thoughts of a persimmon. The problem is, you believe the voices in your head. You believe your thoughts. You think things are really the way you think they are. In spite of the fact that by this age we've noticed that we are often wrong in our assessment of circumstances, nonetheless we believe the next one implicitly. Why? Mind cannot be established or defined as anything at all specific, because it ain't a thing. Got no thingness to it. Since it goes beyond the limitations of existence and non-existence. The words don't go there. Anybody here bilingual? You notice that you think quite differently in your different languages? I mean, really differently. I mean, there's things you can think in one language and not in another. I have emotions in French that I never have in English. When I plan a trip in French, I always get into much more interesting things than when I plan it in English. Even if you spoke 84,000 languages, you would not find a word that described the reality of mind. So stop trying to talk to yourself about it. It doesn't work. You're just gonna end up off base. Instead of talking to yourself about it, shut up periodically. Stop talking about laundry and persimmons with a little voice in your head, or at least stop listening to it if you can't shut it up. Beyond thought. Beyond concept. Beyond feeling and beyond perception. Is your true home. Go home. You've always lived there. You always will. You've always been a Buddha. You always will be. You've just got some lint. It's just fluff. Using the methods and the different teachings, delint yourself. And there it is, where it's always been. Effortlessly present. Without coming and going. It is without birth and death. Without clarity or obscurations. That lint that's given you all the trouble, it's not real. It's just thoughts and feelings and perceptions that are always changing and arising. It's your attachment to those, which boils down to your attachment to being an entity, having an inside and an outside. You don't, you know. You made that up too. You don't need to fight with that. don't need to shove away your personality. You've all met lots of lamas in your life, right? You ever meet one without a personality? They often have quite noticeable personalities. Don't try to make it go away. Don't try to defeat, fight with, or shove ignorance and obscurations. Let go. Stop maintaining them. When you fight with them, you feed them energy. When you purify yourself, you feed self-focusedness. Purify all life, all sentient beings. Recognize them as all Buddhas of the four times. Beyond the limitations of is and isn't. The nature of mind in its purity, kata, is like a stainless crystal ball. Its essence is emptiness, its nature clarity, and its responsive reflectiveness, the continuum. This is an analogy. Don't get all literal on it. Your mind is not made of rock crystal. The analogy of Tibetans didn't have glass. Their example of transparent, clear, was rock crystal. It is transparent. It is empty of stuff. See? Particularly clear crystal. Smooch. Yeah, got a few chips. The emptiness, the transparency is Dharmakaya. The reflectiveness, the rainbows as the light goes through it, is Nirmanakaya. The light that interacts with the crystal is Sambhogakaya. Think of this as a prism. Empty clarity Dharmakaya. Prism is empty and clear. It has no form inside it. The light of vitality shines through the crystalline openness and fragments into the multicolored rainbows of Nirmanakaya. This is an analogy. You gotta say that or somebody gets the idea that their mind's made of crystal. The responsiveness, the reflectiveness arises as thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. You are only able to experience, perceive moment by moment thoughts, feelings, and perceptions due to your aliveness, your vitality, your awareness. That awareness exists as a wide open infinite expanse of no thing. wide open infinite expanse of no thingness is vital, alive, spirited. And as such, it arises as thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. If you were to remove from the universe thoughts, oh, the evil thoughts, and all the terrible unequanimous feelings, and the perceptions of pain and sorrow, if you were actually able to delete this, you would have to delete the aliveness of the universe, leaving nothing but empty mechanisms. No, you do not want to get rid of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. That would be the death of the universe. Darth Vader, dark side of the Force. To destroy all life? That's not where we're going. That's not what this is about. This is a celebration of life. The suffering arises due to our attachment wanting things to be a certain way, and then we don't get it. We want our perceptions to perceive certain things. And when they perceive other things, we get really busy trying to fix it. And so arises angst. And the angst divides into all sorts of crap as we run around chasing our tail and getting deeper and deeper into the trough of believing it's all real, solid, and existent. And even worse, we believe it's the way we think it is. You were no different than the people who listen to the voices in their head. You're all listening to the voice in your head, which is describing your reality and telling you whether people love you or they don't, and whether you're a good person, and if you got it right, and if it's perfect, and if it's not perfect, and what it's all about. Right? Yeah, that crap. You don't have to listen. Let go. Leave phenomena be as it is. It's fine. Leave it be. Stop trying to get all your ducks in a row and get it perfect. It's never that kind of perfect. In no way whatsoever is the nature of mind affected by samsara's negativity. Infinite open awareness. There's nothing for the crap to stick to. Hang a yellow sticky on the sky. Yeah, can they do it? Infinite open sky-like awareness. There's nowhere for the crap to stick. It's just rolling by. If you leave it alone, it's gone. It's only when you get all involved in poking at it and rearranging it that it starts to get stuck and bother you. That's your attraction and aversion, which arises out of the oops of duality. Where you think the stuff you think and the stuff you feel and the stuff you perceive is all happening outside of you. That there's some kind of reality out there and you keep trying to guess what it is and you keep getting upset by your guesses. Give it up. Leave it alone. From the first it is Buddha, trust in this refuge. Take refuge in open awareness in all its vitality and lively manifestation. Because it's always there. Such is my introduction, initiating recognition of the original nature of mind, the ground of our being, our true existential confusion. Existential condition, about which we get all confused. It's just that. It's utterly simple. You don't have to fix it. Because it's right there. Questions? The practice is just to keep noticing. Yes.
Yes, the classical teaching of Nirvana seems to be saying, I think Theravada, that the aggregates themselves are suffering, and that the extinction or dissolution of the aggregate, I guess, defines some ultimate formless state.
Oops.
I'm
You really want to snuff yourself out like a candle?
It seems to be a metaphor for that.
I suppose there are some who have had a hard enough time or are miserable enough that the ultimate suicide is worth it to them. Snuff who out like a candle? Snuff what out like a candle? You're dead, you're gone. Each moment it's somebody else, somebody new. A continuum of results of the causes of the moment before. There's nobody in there. There's nobody to kill. Suicide is futile. I am not a student of Theravada. I took one course for 10 days, once. That doesn't count, really. So I really can't address what they actually mean by that, except to say that all the instructions are in symbols everywhere, because you can't get at it except by pointing with symbols. And what they mean by that, I don't have the training to answer. Other questions?
I find myself in complete harmony with what is being said. And there's one little thing that annoys me and just arises all the time, and then it's just a little why.
It's okay, you'll find another one if we fix
Okay.
that one. But
The why, and the why is this: the infinite liberated play of the three kayas with the non-attachment, egoic non-attachment. Yes, where do I sign? Absolutely. My question is, why do I want to cheat myself out of it? Why do I evict myself out of my own home?
survival instinct.
But if I'm a Buddha, why do I un-Buddha myself?
Because that is scary. To truly perceive your own nature as it actually is, without all the little entertainments that normally are used to avoid perceiving that, from the arising of your mind stream outside of time into the pervading of your mind stream throughout time and space. And understand that your mind stream is not yours. Everyone you interact with is part of it throughout time and space forever. It's like a fishnet, these mind streams, with bits of me and bits of you and bits of everybody else and the guy on the corner all stuck in together thinking it's an entity. You would do anything to maintain that entityness, even though that's what hurts. Because you want to live. There's a test they do in the Marine Corps to see if they pass as Marines after basic. They have to go into a room that's pitch dark, and there's a hole, deep hole. And they have to climb into the hole and hang from the lip by their fingertips. And their feet don't touch the ground. They don't know how deep it is. And then they're ordered, let go. And they have to let go. Those who can't follow orders against their survival reflex don't make it as Marines. Now I want you to imagine that you're hanging with your in the dark, so you don't know how deep the hole is. Your boots are about 6 inches above the ground, but you don't know that. How easy is it going to be to let go? Yeah. If you thought it would save your baby, would you let go? All sentient beings have been your child, your baby. Bodhisattva is the antidote to the survival reflex. Any mother will throw herself under a bus to save her baby. Mother cats, mother birds. It's instinct. It's oxytocin hormonally mediated. When you perceive all life with that level of open-hearted, great-hearted love that you feel for your baby, but without the possessiveness of my baby, I want it to become something. That will antidote the survival reflex that keeps maintaining you interfering with recognizing enlightenment. Make sense? Hence the practice of Bodhisattva, developing Bodhisattva. Since there is no such thing as individual enlightenment, it's an oxymoron. There is no such thing as an individual. We're all interconnected, interwoven, inter-exchanging bits with each other. So how can there be an individual enlightenment if there's no individual? It's just a webwork of interconnectedness.
The so-called Patayika Buddha, solitary realizer, or
Don't know enough about that to address it. Didn't study Theravada.
I think it's also in Mahayana, but
They're mentioned in passing as examples of things. They're considered a stage on the path. They're expected to get over it eventually. When you recognize outside of time, beyond space, innate Buddha nature, all sentient beings have Buddha nature. All Buddhas of the 4 times, the object of your refuge, that is not other than all sentient beings of the 3 realms. Where do you think all Buddhas come from? Sentient beings recognizing their own nature. Outside of time and beyond space, it's all simultaneously in the same place. Every bug and snail is enlightened with you. However, we are quite attached to our separateness, our individuality, and our privacy, and go to a lot of trouble to maintain that. The antidote is practice. It's very simple, you just got to do it. That's all. Just practice. Without impatience or grasping at the results. Most frequent question asked to the Lama: Ma, are we there yet? I perceive this and this. Am I there yet? Did I hit that level? Did I get it? Keep going, keep going. At some point that question will not arise. Then you're there. Other questions? Yes.
I have a question and I'm not quite sure how to articulate it, but a concern for me is dementia. My mother had Alzheimer's, my grandmother had Alzheimer's. I'm looking at, most likely having the gene and doing everything I can.
Yeah, coming out with some really good new stuff medically.
Right.
I'm
not
sure you've
verbally.
researched herbally also.
Yeah,
Citicoline,
right,
there's a few others, but I'm not that up on it.
yeah,
It's not in my family, so I haven't really pressed on that research.
yeah. I'm wondering how, what if there's an interface between dementia and practice, and
There is. I'm going to tell you a story. Once when I was at Copan, so this is like 50 years ago, Lama Yeshe was still alive and healthy. Lama Zopa was a kid. Had not come into his power at all yet. Just a little nervous 20-year-old. So we're going way back. At one point, the bell's ringing, ding, ding, which is calling everybody together. So we all come running, and there's Lama Yeshe going, the most wonderful thing has happened. This old Lama, wandering yogi has wandered up here, and he's the most amazing teacher of Shunyata. And I'd like him to give you teachings. Of course, he's really old, so he's a little bit senile, don't mind it. And so he tells the story. This guy wandered in the forest, and he had some students that wandered behind him, followed him. He was quite into his dementia. He had Alzheimer's. So he would wander off, forget what he was doing, but his practice was so clear and his realization so clear that it had not been affected by what his brain was up and doing. So they bring him up, and he sits up on the throne. Lama Yeshe asks if he'll teach the students and yada yada. And I think, I don't remember, I think Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa were both translating. Lama Zopa's English was perhaps somewhat better, but this guy was teaching Dzogchen. So that would be Lama Yeshe, because Lama Zopa hadn't had that yet. He has by now. And he's sitting there and picking his nose and looking around and saying, what am I doing here? He says, oh, you said you would teach my students. Oh, what do they want to know about Shunyata, which is what we called it there. Oh, okay, and he goes into this incredible pointing out of nature of mind. Somewhere in the middle of which he drifts off and begins snoring. We just sit there, we're all like, He snores for a while, and then he wakes up and looks around and scratches a bit, gets up, whips out his pecker, pees on the altar, starts to wander away. And Lama Yeshe comes and get him. Oh, please, will you teach my students? Oh, all right. And he comes back, and they sit him on the throne. He doesn't know what's going on. And we go through the end. What do you want me to teach them? I want you to teach them about Shunyata. Oh, okay. Into the most amazing Dzogchen pointing out. I don't remember the words by now. It's so long ago. But it was just and then eventually he scratches and gets up and picks up an orange or something and begins eating it and wanders off. His disciples grab all the stuff and follow him. If you have learned to relax your attention sufficiently that it is habitual, losing your brain will not destroy that. Gelong Dorji in the last year was really fading. I was watching him fade. Not senile, but no longer very interactive. Drifting off. Not having much to do with matter anymore. Or thoughts, or feelings, or perceptions. And then he went into Tudong and stayed there for quite a while. Tudong. After you're dead but not dead, the heart stops beating, you're not breathing, but you don't go rigor mortis, and you sit there like suspended. That's when you go off into the clear light bardo. So you haven't completely left the body and hit the bardo of becoming, although the elements have absorbed, and the red and the white have come together at the heart center, but you haven't released them yet. And you can stay that way for weeks, years, however long is convenient. Lots of our yogis do that. Sit Tudong. I mean, unless a car accident gets them or something when they're not home, or they think they have a curable illness and go to the hospital, which, if I'm there, I can usually tell. And we'll tell them straight, and then they'll sit Tudong. Sometimes, if I'm not there, they'll think it's something fixable and go in. So, it's just one of those things. We lost one that would have sit Tudong because she thought it was just a digestive and a cold. And she was actually going. And so she went in the hospital, and it's really hard to sit Tudong in the hospital. Even Westerners, my teacher's student, we know of one, Annapurna, up in Marin, who sat Tudong. And she was this little hippie chick. So it's not dependent on intellect. In fact, stupid people do have a slight advantage. There's less stuff going on. It's slower, you can look past it a little easier. Is that reassuring a bit?
Yeah. And it's bringing up another question.
Mm-hmm.
I have some experience attempting to midwife my mother, for instance, as she was leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose to follow the tradition of leaving her body for 4 days
Mm-hmm.
to allow her spirit to do
And
what it needed to do.
whatever it was going to manage, yes.
Yeah. And I felt it was the right thing to do. It felt like a really good thing to do. My friend recently passed, and he was apparently a very he'd really done his work. Like, he was diagnosed, and within almost, a little over a month, he was gone. And he went home with his family, expecting to, go on for a while, and he was gone 2 days later. It was like he saw what was real and just decided to drop his body.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering, because it was out of my control, I didn't have, I couldn't say, hey, leave his body be, just let it be, let his spirit do what it needs to do. His his family just, okay, he's out of here, we'll get him cremated. I'm wondering if that kind of practice would interfere with something like that.
It could or it couldn't. It would depend on the person. Karmapa died in hospital, the 16th. I believe his last words were, nothing happens. Death wasn't real for him, any more than the rest of it. Master of Mahamudra. It would depend. There's border levels where that would be a problem. You would be either before those levels of realization where no problem, you weren't going to be able to do anything with it anyway. Or after those levels where, yeah, you're fine. Thing is, you never really know who and where your level will be in that moment. So we all try to make arrangements for the opportunity to sit Tudon. And we say, when someone's in Tudum, they're not dead yet. Because otherwise somebody would want to take the body. No rigor mortis, no morbid lividity, they're not dead yet. They're in the process. So when Norbu Rinpoche sat, and he sat Tudum for quite a while recently, any of Norbu's students here? Yes, Namkai Norbu. So he sat Tudum, and while he was in, at first his death was announced, and then they realized that no governments would then become involved. So they said, no, that was the wrong rumor. He's actually still alive. He's in the process. And they continued to make that statement until his Tudum was finished. And that, so if you've got somebody in Tudum, what you do is you do not declare them dead. No, they're still a little bit alive. Because there's no morbid lividity, so obviously they're not dead. They're still sitting there. Just so you know how to do that, in case you have loved ones or yourself who are going to give that a try.
It's a stupid question maybe, but what's the point of being in Tukdom for a long time?
It's an incredibly powerful experience for those who are around someone who's in Tudom. We often go and sit with them, and it really accelerates the process of anyone around. It's like a giant wong.
So it's for their benefit, for others' benefit?
Yes.
And what about the person?
They're fine. They're out in the clear light.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, they've gone forth into the clear light. Yeah.
And so what's the next step? Releasing
Would
of the-
depend on the monlam that had been made by that mind stream previously. The wish path, the intent. You want to come back, take another body and do some work? You want to be a doctor next time? Have you made an intent? Have you made it out loud verbally in front of a very powerful object like a great stupa or something? I'm getting me a spaceship. Taking the Dharma back home, out there. Gotta be some non-humans to teach. Wouldn't that be fun? When we finish the statue, I made monlam. So it will depend on the monlam that they've made in their mind stream. Of course, it won't be me doing that. I'm gone by then. I'm gone now. It'll still be fun. Other questions?
So all the rainbow body stuff is it's more for the benefit of the people around.
Yes. It is not done alone. Nothing is ever done alone. To go rainbow, you have to both be able to do that from your side and have people around who can perceive it. If people couldn't perceive it, then it wouldn't be known to have happened. Shared realities. You can only perceive what you can perceive. There's all sorts of things going on around you that you can't see, feel, or perceive because you do not permit them in your reality. There's lots of stuff. The universe is bigger than you think it is. Other questions? questions? Emaho. Again, beloved children of my heart, listen. Mind. This universal concept, this most significant of words, being no single entity, no thingness, manifests as the gamut of pleasure and pain in samsara and nirvana. There are as many beliefs about it as there are approaches to Buddhahood. And it has all sorts of names. I've been calling it to you Semni, real mind. That's one of its names. But in the vernacular, it's I, me, self. Some others call it selfless individual. The mind-only school calls it mind. Some call it perfect insight. Some call it Buddha nature. Some call it magnificent stance. I believe that is a translation of the word Mahamudra. Some call it middle way. Others, cosmic seed. The reality continuum. Universal ground. Ordinary consciousness. Since the synonyms of mind, the labels we apply to it are countless. Know it for what it really is. Know it experientially as the here and now. Compose yourself in the natural state of your mind's nature. Simple instructions. Just that. Too simple for some of you, in which case we have lots of tantras you can play with. Relax. Gently open your attention so that it is no longer focused on phenomena, this is and that, thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. Let mind relax into itself. Let go of your habit of grasping and pursuing ideas, descriptions, verbiage, sensations, feelings, or perceptions. Leave the dance of phenomena to arise as it will. Relax. Relax again. The natural state is neither constructed nor accomplished. It is by abandoning all construction and accomplishment that it can be noticed. Do not attempt to keep it. Don't grab even that. Let it flow, let it arise, let it vanish, let it go by. Each moment arising fresh, entire of itself, all gone, dissolving. Relax. When at rest, the mind is ordinary perception, naked and unadorned. Stop trying to make something out of it. Leave it alone. When you gaze directly at it, there is nothing to see. Nothing but the light of awareness, a total presence, your presence. The isness of the seer. Don't grab that. Don't try to maintain it. Don't try to keep it. Relax. Let go. It is brilliance and a relaxed vigilance of the awakened state. What are you vigilant about? Not grabbing. You have a habit of grabbing thoughts, ideas, perceptions, feelings, experiences as they float by. You will have to be a bit vigilant to not follow that habit until it dissipates. Nothing specific whatsoever. A secret fullness. The ultimacy of non-dual radiance and emptiness. It is the emptiness which gazes out from behind your own eyes. There's nobody in there. Relax. Stop trying to grab the idea of that. Let it come, let it go. Let the phenomena arise and vanish as it will. There is nothing for you to perfect, nothing to work at. It is not eternal, for nothing exists from moment to moment, each moment causing the next. But there is no actual continuity. There is nothing whatsoever about it that has been proven to exist. Therefore, even if you try to hang on to it, you can't. There ain't no handle. Nothing to grasp. This is why attempting to stabilize Dzogchen is an exercise in futility. What is stable has always been stable. And the moving will always flow. You cannot grasp awareness. And yet it is always. It is not a void, for there is brilliance, wakefulness, awakeness, lucidity inherent to it. Feel. To get a glimpse, feel yourself being. See, awake, lucid. That's the clear light nature of emptiness. Just that, right there. It is not a unity, for multiplicity is self-evident in perception. Look around you at all this stuff. Obviously, it's not all the same. It is not multiplicity, for we know the one taste of unity. It is not an external function, for presence is intrinsic to immediate reality. This moment, this here and now, you're in it. You are the presence. You, the seer that looks out from behind your eyes, don't limit it to entityness. In the immediate here and now, we see the face of the original Lord abiding in the heart center. Kuntuzangpo. Identify yourself with this, my spiritual sons and daughters. Whoever denies him wanting more from somewhere else is like the man who has found his elephant but continues to follow its tracks. He may comb the 3 dimensions of the microcosmic world systems for an eternity, but he will find not so much as the name of the Buddha, other than the one in his heart. We're speaking in symbolisms. Heart for a Tibetan is like head for a Westerner. Neither one is particular. I mean, they go, he's crazy. We go, he's crazy. Same difference. The Buddha, which is the nature of your own mind. There ain't no other Buddhas. Such is my introduction, initiating recognition of our true existential condition, which is the principal realization in Trekchö of Dzogchen. Do you understand how to practice? Frequently, sit there with your channels in alignment. Relax the focus of your eyes. Relax your attention, which is usually focused on phenomena. You all understand what I mean by phenomena. Stuff. Relax into your own nature. If you find yourself talking to yourself about your own nature, relax past that. It isn't what you said it was. Just sit there. And then, when you get up and go about, periodically, using the tool of mindfulness to remind you to do so. In Tibetan, mindfulness does not mean what it means in New Age. It means remembering. It's a term for memory. Somebody did something funny with it in the New Age system, but neither here nor there. Using memory, return your attention to that open state again and again while walking, while talking, while eating, while sleeping, while doing all the thises and that's of your life. That's the practice. To directly perceive your own mind, that's Tawa, the first word of Garuda. To open your attention to that again and again is Gampa, the second word of Garuda. To see while it's happening, not to talk to yourself about it after it happens. All thoughts, feelings, and perceptions arising in that emptiness and dissolving in that emptiness without either having a substance or a duration is Sopa, the third word of Garuda. You don't make them do that, they do that. You just frequently notice that they be doing that. Got it? Any questions on the instructions of how to practice Trekchö for those who would like to practice Trekchö?
The third word again?
Sopa.
Garuda's instruction as you just...
Notice while it's happening, not think about it afterwards, the way your thoughts, feelings, and perceptions have absolutely no substance or duration. Watch them flicker.
And remember to do that again and again.
Notice that happening while it's happening. Don't grab it. Don't try to maintain the noticing. Don't grab anything. Don't try to stabilize anything. Your meditation has to be fresh in each moment. Do not attempt to stabilize something and make it hold still. If it isn't already utterly still and never going nowhere because it's nature of mind, then it's moving and it's not going to be still. So stop frustrating yourself by trying to stabilize something. You see, trekcha cans about as well as asparagus. Those of you who have ever tasted canned asparagus will understand that analogy. Fresh, not stable, not still. The freshness is stable. It always does that. You don't make it do that. Soup is the natural state of the arisings. Relax into it and stop trying to grab stuff as it goes by. That's the key. Stop trying to get somewhere. Stop trying to make something out of it. Stop trying to perfect your practice. Relax, it's there. Leave it alone, let go. That's the key to trekcha. Other questions? Then we are complete for today. And I believe we are on 7. Yep, we'll be starting 7 next time. Ye wande nyor duda che sa let go. Don't try to hold any of it. Give it away, share it.